A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, squad mates, participants and viewers worldwide on different platforms. Thank you for joining us today and thank you for being our valued community members. Thank you to Tyler for coming in already. Tyler's saying hello to everyone and asking, how was your day, sir? Thank you very much for popping in so early. Great to see you, and indeed great to have you back live here on my podcast. I'm very well indeed, and I wanted just to say to all of our community members worldwide, we are enjoying a wonderful spring day here in London suburbs. It is very warm and very sunny, very bright, clear skies, high atmosphere, and thanks to the COVID vaccine, which I received on Saturday, I've been going out early in the day to get some sun and basically to see some daylight, because I've been indoors for 6 months and, well, for 13 months in fact, but I've not seen any daylight for 6 months due to the quarantine and everything else that we have in our local area. So it's been quite a revelation, and I've gone to my favorite restaurant where I usually have my daily meal, and I had one of my favorites, and we are not allowed to be eating indoors, so I had to be eating it in our local park together, the main course together with the dessert and with some hot chocolate. So it really has been a wonderful day so far, and in view of the vaccine, I'm running my streams differently, and I'm not coming live on air early in the day, but we are doing our daily podcast, and then we try to squeeze in a bit of action as well to make it really quiet and leisurely, certainly within this week. And the reason for that is simple. It's due to my health, and I really want to make sure that I have a nice leisurely week through which I'm building the antibodies, and then we can go back to the normal as far as the broadcasting is concerned here on my channel, of course. And great to see Tyler. So once again, hello, and how are you? How is everything out there over the pond? And how is everything out there? First of all, I'd like to say that I was not able to do my Apex last night, and I intended to do maybe 90 minutes or 120 minutes off it in order to get my rewards for the season. And I've got to say, I really have a problem with Respawn and Bungie and some of the other developers, Activision, the publisher in particular, because they keep throwing in all these updates, and the updates on PlayStation are not automatic. You need to be, switching the console on, leaving it on, waiting for it to install. And I've got to say, compared to Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4 does really install these updates of an extended period of time, and it took yesterday more than 2.5 hours for that to be installed out of the blue. I mean, we've not had the end of the season. The reset is going to be at 5 o'clock PM UK time, here at 6 o'clock PM in Europe, and I really don't understand as to why they keep doing this all the time. And as a streamer and as somebody who had been subscribed to all the accounts through the major developers, they really would need to send us an email or notification or text message saying we are going to be launching yet another update, get ready. Because if you have a schedule and if you want to be streaming and then you discover that the update is about to kick in, I can assure you every one of the updates on Apex was lasting between 90 and 180 minutes, which meant if I had a slot of 90 or 120 minutes for Apex, I had to wait for the update, and therefore everything was simply killed off. On Xbox, I don't have the same problem, because any game that's installed will be updated through its charger overnight or whenever necessary, and there's no problem with it. It just updates by itself, always at a time when I'm not streaming. And due to the internet speeds in our local area, I can't be doing the streams as well as doing downloads and uploads and installations. It just doesn't work. So therefore, sadly, I missed out on my stream last night, which was to be of Apex, and then secondly, I discovered, as we are having the cut-off at 5 o'clock PM today, I will not be getting 2 of the last rewards because there is going to be no time for me to do it. And it's very disappointing, and sadly that is the problem that keeps persisting. It's affecting all streamers, and I did have messages from some of my colleagues in the US who were absolutely furious. They were raging about Respawn. But on the other hand, I mean, I understand the reasons for it. I know as to why they want to be always making sure that the games work absolutely tip-top. And, you know, Apex, PUBG and Warzone are the games that are extremely popular, and they're having hundreds of millions of people entering the arena, those games every single day. So obviously they want to make sure that everything is fully in order and that the games will be functioning as good as they should. But us, you know, us the streamers, we need to have some notifications in advance, because obviously if we don't get anything, we are ill prepared. And the same thing happened with The Division and Destiny. You know, even if they had the maintenance announced, frequently they would just throw in an update, which is like a patch, and then it will take up a lot of time and causing me many issues. So I apologize to our viewers, because I had a couple of messages from our Apex community members that listened to the podcast. They said, we're going to crack on, we'll join Daniel in some of the matches. And then guess what, actually I did receive some invitations through Xbox later for Apex, and basically I was not able to do anything. And I have to say, I was seething with rage. I was very angry, and then I thought, well, fair enough, what we'll do is we'll just go through screenshots, and we'll upload some of the recent activities. So I've given you a selection of those from, let me think, it was from Outriders, and then from Apex, as well as PUBG. So we had quite a selection of our recent activities. I still need to be uploading loads of screenshots from Fallout 3, which on Xbox didn't really do that yesterday. I need to decide whether to do a bit of Fallout today, or, you know, we need to decide on what to do really, because this week is a bit like a term break for me. So I have a free hand to first of all do my podcasts, and then, you know, choose whatever I wish. And I think that makes it really nice and easy. Let me see what Tyler said. Tyler's saying, my day's been just peachy, thanks for asking, just waiting for the reset on Destiny 2. That's correct, yeah, that will be happening in a couple of hours. I've had a message as well indicating that the reset will take place. I'm just hoping that they're not going to cut me off here halfway through my podcast, because of the obvious, you know. And sometimes the servers go down, and then, you know, it just, everything goes dead, and it's just very annoying. Right, so let me just think. What I did yesterday was I had instead of plan A, had to resort to plan B. So it was a major change of action, and then after uploading all the photographs to my Twitter, I realized that they were quite popular. I had a few people retweeting also my messages regarding the daily podcast, which has been really helpful. I mean, I have to say, I'm really grateful from the bottom of my heart to everyone who is retweeting my podcast links. And I will tell you, there are several companies in there that were doing this. Savage Team is one of them, and they've done that already today, so really very grateful. And they really are always supporting our stream. We had Koichi as well, so thank you for that. We had SOS MC Windows, and then AC, they also supported it. We had Nicolan, we had Zach Goodrich, we had Just Joshin, we had I'm Flame, who is our regular here, TC as well, Streamer Boost, and let me see some other people in there as well. Streamer Boost, Social Links, and Tall Raccoon. They are the companies that are frequently supporting our stream. And let me see, there's another one as well. Streamer Boost and Social Links, of course, yeah. Well, thank you very much. Also, Aniwa Pi and VR Retweeter, as well as Social Links and Streamer Boost yet again, a Gaming 50 as well. You know, the list just goes on and on. People are listening to the podcast and indeed supporting all that we do, and I'm very grateful for that. Tyler's saying that 26 more minutes for me, so it will be happening in about 26 minutes. I'm just hoping that there isn't going to be a cut-off in here affecting my stream, because this is obviously what I absolutely detest, and it does happen sometimes. So after doing the screenshots, I've gone down the route of looking at the games that were downloaded overnight, and the vast majority were delivered to us through Bethesda stroke Microsoft merger. I talked about it in quite length yesterday, so I'll tell you all about it. And also, if you're interested, you can just head to my Twitter and then have a look at my streaming setup today and yesterday. It tells you what games are presently on my system. It's basically a screenshot of my Sony Bravia 60-inch, and you get a spread of what I get on my Xbox. And one of them is dedicated to Blessed Unleashed, and the other is Empire of Sin, and I'll tell you a bit more about the game shortly. So basically, the games I downloaded, and these are the games that I will be playing both here on the broadcast and also during my off time, are first of all Dishonored Definitive Edition, so that's the Dishonored one. Then Star Wars Squadrons, which I played here already quite a bit a little while back. Then a wonderful game, Empire of Sin, also introduced last week on Friday. So the game is not part of Bethesda, but it came on as part of the Xbox game package, similar to the Squadrons. Then we have Undertale. Then we have Killer Queen Black. We have Football Manager. We have one of the golden oldies, one of the best games of all times, Morrowind. Then we have Doom 1, 2 and 3, as well as 64. All of them came together with Bethesda. Bless Unleashed, celebrating its first year anniversary. Prey, again a Bethesda game. Outer Wilds, a game that I really want to play for quite some time, but never managed to get to. And then the big Obsidian title, one of the favorites of many people who are dedicated to RPGs. They label it as one of the very best of the last few years. It's The Outer Worlds. So quite a few games downloaded. And what I did yesterday was simply look through some of them. I was quite curious to see how certain games would be performing under the new structure and after they've been reworked. Because obviously you've heard from Microsoft and Bethesda bosses that they really introduced 120 FPS to several games from that package. They polished up the old Doom to 4K level. They provided us with a new frame rate as well as the extra razor sharp resolution on the visual side of things for Dishonored Definitive Edition. The list just goes on and on. So really, I got my teeth into this. So what I did yesterday was I started out on Dishonored. And Dishonored I played in the past. I've never finished the game, but one of those games that's still on top of my list. And it was quite recent that I've looked it up on PS Now services, and also I think I tried it on the Game Pass, and the difference is truly remarkable. I've got to say, the quality graphics, the frame rate, the vivid colors, illumination, everything is absolutely top notch, and the quality has been greatly enhanced. So if anyone has any questions, well, absolutely head to Game Pass and try Dishonored. It is just it's the same game, but it's much more immersive type of open world high quality experience, just like what Phil Spencer was describing the other day, indicating that this is going to be one of their prime tasks, to make sure that the overall experience of gaming is as alive, as immersive and as interactive as possible. So we have already the first two sections, I would say, almost completely fulfilled, but as interactive, we'll be looking for some other tools for them to introduce. And the biggest news of the day to come in on the wires, which is basically a speculation, but I think it did come from the insiders, is related to Discord. There's a rumor circulating amongst the insiders that after the acquisition of Bethesda, which was costing them $6 billion, Microsoft is considering acquiring Discord, right? And the alleged price is of $10 billion up front. So these are just absolutely mind-boggling figures. Think about it: $6 billion for Bethesda, $10 billion for Discord. And there've been like mixed reactions coming out on Twitter in respect of this, because a lot of people feel once such companies, the small indie companies like Mixer or Skype, go under the Microsoft umbrella, then the quality of everything they offer is just completely tainted, and they really take a different direction. They're no longer anymore the same sort of products, and they really kind of suffer all sorts of issues on the technical side of things. I mean, I don't know, some things worked, some things did not, and Mixer was one of the worst decisions that Microsoft would have taken. They've done it in good faith, because the software and the overall kind of streaming platform did come across, when you looked at it, as extremely simple and very user-friendly. but they just didn't have the tech. The tech was appalling, and when you compare it with the quality you get on YouTube and Twitch, it is just simply, beyond any form of comparison. It was just complete fluke as to why they thought that somebody would want to be migrating to Mixer. Is a mystery to me. I've spent 4 weeks on it, and it was one of the worst streaming experiences I'd ever had. It was absolutely abysmal. First of all, the picture quality was fluctuating. There were serious problems with resolution. Secondly, we've had many broadcasts crashing. Thirdly, and most importantly, many broadcasts did not get recorded at all, and they were not to be retrieved. They had no technical support desk to assist. They were just relying on Xbox ambassadors, people like myself. It's just a non-starter. It's just a question of hour, not a day, when the whole thing was going to fold up, and that's exactly what happened. And they pulled the plug overnight. It was just like, nah, it just didn't work. Goodbye, forget it. Clear desks on Friday. It was that sort of decision, and very sad to see that. But I did have a similar experience with some other platforms which are completely unrelated, all due to various issues that were not looked at right on time. And our friend says, Tyler's asking, did you finish your Beyond Light campaign? I have played Beyond Light, and I got stuck on one of the last bosses, and I did mention the other day on my broadcast I'll be waiting for our communities to be fully integrated, with cross-platform access, and then we'll have all of our veterans from PlayStation and PC popping in and joining forces, and then Beyond Light will be a kind of fully fledged experience. I think Beyond Light, more than any other section of Destiny 2, is all about group effort. It's all about working together as a team. And to tell you the truth, I'm not that keen on doing some of the things with the randoms, because you'll get people who've gone through a mission a million times and they're just racing. Obviously they're not aware of the fact that we are on Alive Now on Twitch, and they're racing. As they're racing, they're preventing both myself and the viewers to see all of the content. And you'll remember, you would have seen the guys who kind of get in a strike and they just race to the end. So within minutes, instead of doing the whole strike, they just race to the end, and the game obviously keeps just loading the end part, and nobody else sees really what this strike was about. And that's really not the kind of audiovisual experience that I want to have here on my channel. Meaning, I want to do these strikes with people who are veterans and people who are on board, and had some difficulties in bringing them in ever since they were running the last year's season, which many people felt not very happy about, and they kind of departed to other games and popped in just for the collection of loot. So therefore it was a bit more difficult. I guess no problem in bringing in people for Destiny 1, but we know full well that that community is very alive and vibrant, but we don't have any new content brought in. And as we stream Destiny 1 here for about 18 months almost every single day, it just becomes a bit repetitive in terms of what really would suffice me, also with my energy, excitement, and I love the game, but doing it every single day with the same group of people and doing exactly the same missions, I think when you have the option of entertaining the content in a sequel, which is novel and constantly evolving, it's down to preference. I just think that after doing it for 18 months on everyday basis, and we were having 5 to 6 hours a day, sometimes even longer than that, it was time to take a different direction, which doesn't mean that we will not go back to Destiny 1 and then indeed entertain some of the activities and work on some pinnacle weapons with others. A learning channel will help other people to get their sleeper simulant or get to the Black Spindle. That's the idea behind it. So in answer to your question, I've not finished the campaign in full, and it is there still left open for other members of our community to join us and then do it together with me. Maybe some other new players, people also working on the new loot and everything else. If I'm in no hurry, you'll see that sometimes people, as the new season kicks off, they'll want to do everything within the first week. I think that's defying the purpose of a season. A season means an ongoing, continuous activity with things coming your way and you participating on an extended period of time. And so for me it's just good enough I do it over a period of weeks and months. I'm not that keen on the method through which the seasonal activity disappears at the end of the season. I think it needs to be kept. because, you know, for the obvious reason, there will be people coming in. So it looks like it's gonna be bringing me back to the thing. I have to probably go through another game in order to carry on my podcast. Anyway, we'll see. So yeah, so I was telling you all about yesterday, and initially I looked at Dishonored, which I thought looked fantastic and, you know, very high quality open world experience. It's the definitive edition, and they also enhanced its FPS. The graphics look much better than on the old edition, and in everything it's just superior, as you would expect it to be. There were some tiny little glitches which I spotted as well when playing it on Game Pass, and when I was racing, then the texture of the floor was kind of a bit strange. It looked as if there was a lag in detection. You know, it wasn't really to do with motion of the main character. So I spotted that, but otherwise it was very, very enjoyable. And then after that I looked at Morrowind, and Morrowind also has been enhanced and remastered, and it looks really beautiful. Still, it's delivered in its old format of Xbox Original, so you have, you know, the other type of academy ratio, so it's not full screen like what we get on our state-of-the-art TVs today. But, you know, the contents are there. It's all about the dialogue, about the exploration, and anyone familiar with Elder Scrolls will tell you. And I think Morrowind was a kind of a generation breaker. It really brought in some ideas and concepts that were later massively developed for Oblivion, which indeed is, for my liking, the best ever Elder Scrolls game. And it was just the evolution of Morrowind, and all the characters and, you know, ideas that we would have seen, just more advanced, with more options. And yesterday we talked about this here quite a bit on request from one of our community members, where she asked us, well, what are your favorite Bethesda games if you go back 25 years? And quite frankly, I said, you know, with no difficulty, if I'm looking at what really affected me the most, and at the same time what I would have considered to have been most important in terms of the overall video game industry, i.e. how it would affect the development of video gaming overall, then certainly Oblivion, and which is Elder Scrolls 4, and Fallout 3. These are the two games that I feel are defying those genres, and defining, I beg your pardon, so it's my brain really not, must be that meal I had, you know, I'm not feeling sleepy, but it's just weird really the way the words keep coming out of my mouth. It's a genre defining game, or games I should say, and still reminded of this the other day as we began to stream Fallout 3, with its diversity, the multitude of different options and characters and dialogue and situations. It's a true joy to play. And also on the edition that I have, which I believe was not remastered, but it just, I don't know, you know, it just looks like a completely new game compared to the old that I played in 360. So they've done something to it. It must have been enhanced for Xbox One X and S performance, if not for the next gen. But you know, it just seems to be working really, really well. And after looking at Morrowind, I've gone to Doom, and I tried Doom 1, 2 and 3, and I have to say they look very, very good on my setup, but it does feel like an old gen game. It's very retro, and despite all the works completed and, you know, it's polishing up and all sorts, I have a difficulty with these bright colors and lights and all this. It's a bit like watching strobes all the time, and really I don't really like that too much. But in terms of the actual in-game activity, again, it is a genre-defining game, because all the shooters were evolving then after Doom, and they were based on, you know, the motion, the movement, the number of enemies coming away, collection of the loot. It's a loot and shooter, and you collect ammunition, you collect health and various other things, and it's quite pacey. Also, you have the multiplayer in there, so you can do it together with somebody else, and I think anyone who is very keen on retro, they'll absolutely adore it and love it. It's great that they've offered it in its original format. Quite frankly, I think the developer would need to consider reworking the game from scratch, you know, so you can redo it and do exactly the same, but just with present day and age state-of-art graphics, and it will be absolutely, you know, very, very popular, and people who love Doom will immediately buy everything. And on the other hand, I still think that sometimes some companies, they want to really get as much revenue as possible, you know, with these types of approaches, and it isn't just about the revenue. I think it's all about providing you with quality experience, going down memory lane and all this. But I think yesterday when I watched Doom, I thought, well, it's only that much you can do with it, and you really should do a full remake, and therefore you'll top it up really with new earnings and perhaps new members of the community joining as well. And then to top it all off with the very best, I've gone down the route of Empire of Sin. And Empire of Sin is an absolutely incredible game. I really love it. It does combine the real-time strategy, you know, kind of turn-based strategy gameplay with RPG and a film noir type of atmosphere of Chicago. And you are absolutely grabbed from the moment you look at the game, because when you load the game, you will have the choice of about 12 or 16 different criminals that you can choose from, right? And you can pick up one of them, and that criminal wants to be ruling the underworld, and they will be doing everything possible, like hijacking other people's enterprises and destroying the liquor, eliminating the opponents, etc., etc., in order to become the top dog. Amongst them, you have even Al Capone, so you can play Al Capone if you want. I've gone down the route of playing Goldie, and Goldie is a girl from Canada who was a lounge singer who obviously had it rough, and then decided to take the law into her own hands, and she began building her own criminal enterprise. So I became an associate in that venture yesterday, and I loved it. I played it for about 4 or 5 hours. It's just that, you know, once you're in it, you don't want to leave. It's just great stuff. And what you also don't want to do is, when you're trying out different tactics and strategies on, you know, turn-based strategy systems, you don't want some of your mates to get killed, and you have various settlements which are offered on several difficulty levels. Like one is 1 out of 5, the other one is 5 out of 5. So obviously, if you're going with let's say a 3-man team, and 5 out of 5 will have 20 people in there, it's going to be quite difficult to eliminate all the guys, and you don't want to lose some of your characters early, because your enterprise will be dependent on your earnings. You know, it's a bit like a proper strategy game with everything in it. There's very meticulous details everywhere applied to all the settlements you hijacked. And for instance, if you are spending a lot of time tossing a coin with other criminals, then you're losing on your production. You're not paying enough attention to your customers, and therefore the enterprise is under the duress. It may be that somebody's going to grass on you, the police are going to come in, and they basically label you as a bootlegger, because it's happening during the Prohibition era, and yeah, just like great stuff. Let me just tell you a bit more about the game. I want to provide you with some further details, so just give us a second. So really, it's a game that I have on my list to be streamed here, and I was waiting for it to come on free play days through Xbox. But as we are getting it now in full on Game Pass, I'll just have to think of the time I'll be able to slot it in. But because I've not been really doing many RTS games for some time, I'll be looking for maybe doing one of the characters first of all outside of my broadcasts, and then I'll bring in the game on another character, because I need to be a bit more familiar with tactics and strategies. It's a bit difficult if you've not done any of them for a while, and I certainly have not. It's been probably since the late 90s, early teens of this century. I would have gone and done some real-time strategy games, because I kind of migrated from gaming and playing games extensively on my PC to consoles, and then I wasn't really, I mean, I have loads of them on my Steam account, and you know, the original physical copies, but just simply there wasn't time. And I think the number of titles now, when I look at comprising all 3 platforms together, it took quite a few thousand games, and it's extraordinary. And don't forget, lots of games are very lengthy. But this one definitely is a game that you can play at different times. You can easily entertain maybe a couple of hours on separate days, and you will never feel bored, and you will never feel that you need to push the game because you want to be achieving more, like what you get with Apex or PUBG, maybe wanting to excel, with separate matches. And it has a very, very fluid, very interesting pace that comprises maybe 3 different genres together. And I really think if we look at the concept and all that we get there, we really are looking at a game that's similar to what they said about Gears Tactics. I've looked at the game, not played it, but it's the same sort of idea. It's sort of trying to blend in 3 or 4 genres together and provide us with the best possible entertainment. And it's interesting because generally you have people who are console players who have really a complete aversion towards RTS, doing with strategy games. They feel that the bird's eye and just generally needing to wait until things get completed is something they don't really feel affiliated to. And these games are trying to bring in the RPG element, where you have lots of cutscenes, a lot of dialogue, a lot of story-driven content, and it just really is fantastic. Honestly, I loved it. The only thing that concerned me a bit was that sometimes on the controller I couldn't access certain options quick enough. It seemed like slightly glitchy, and maybe it's just because the game's freshly been launched. It's a game that really ideally is played on a PC, but nevertheless, it just looks, feels, and sounds incredible. The elements of the 1920 Chicago, the elements of Prohibition, with the costumes, with characters, with the hoods, with the neighborhood, with everything else, researched and reworked perfectly. From the shops through local vicinities and neighborhoods to the cars and the police uniforms, it's just all blending in perfectly, like walking into Hollywood film, silent film, 1930s. There you go. I'm afraid I'll have to be I think discontinuing here and then starting out on another game in order to play. So I apologize there, plus I have to just switch the game in order to provide you with more interesting content here through the podcast. It's not my fault, it's not to Bungie, and for whatever reason let me see. Please bear with me and see whether the game is going to be allowing me to come in. No. I need to depart. I will come in on another game, so stay with us. I'll be back very, very shortly. We'll carry on with our podcast. My hands are tied. It's all down to Bungie. And like what happened yesterday, yet again, we have to do something about this Tuesdays and Mondays. We have so many problems caused by the developers, and we've seen also every single Monday serious problems in there. So stay with us. I'll be back in literally a couple of minutes just to download another game in order to carry on the podcast. So stay with us. I'll be back very shortly.